right before the height of our recruitment season, I got into a horrible car accident. Got hit so hard by a guy who took a stop sign that my wedding band flew out of my car.
Wow.
And he hit me and dragged me uphill. The wheels to my car were bent underneath the vehicle, and now I was going downhill.
Wow, that's scary.
Terrifying. And a lot of this, I'm telling you, because this is what they told me once, not because I remember living through that. What stopped me from ending up in the Hudson River was that as this was all unfolding, a fire truck was passing.
Okay.
And they had seen what happened, and they parked the truck, and my car banged up against the truck, and that's what stopped me.
Wow.
And I believe that there was an angel that day, because I couldn't find my phone. I was completely disoriented, and she called my husband. How she got the phone number, I can't tell you. I just remember that this woman called my phone. No one ever saw that woman again. Ever again. Not the fire department, not any of the witnesses. No one ever saw that individual again.
Wow.
But I remember there was a woman there who called my husband and told my husband what was going on. And in true male fashion, he didn't pick up the phone, okay? Because he didn't recognize the number. But she left this voicemail, and all of that unfolded. And so I was out for almost 4 or 5 months because of this accident. And everything that I had built and done by the time it was time to go back to work after being out had faded away and had done away. But I was so tied to the dream of what I had built. And within a couple weeks, everything that we had worked so hard to do dismantled. The morale was on the floor, and I still went back. So I went back that January after the accident, and by March I was gone. And that really was what forced me to finally make the leap. I knew that there was more for me. I knew that there was more to me. I just didn't know what it was going to look like. And I had applied to a whole bunch of roles, got a whole bunch of rejections. And finally, I was like, you know what? I'm going to bet on Susana. And if it doesn't work, the job market will always be there. I know what to do, but I'm going to teach other women. And so let's see what goes on. And when I started on social media, honey, I was talking about everything, okay? I was talking about mom life. I was talking about corporate life. I was upset. Like, I was talking about everything. So there was no rhyme or reason. But I started just to kind of share. It was almost like therapeutic for me. And then what kicked off was all of the professional development and the workforce development things. And I was like, okay, there's a market here. And there's other women here who look and sound like me who are facing some of the same struggles. Pues, vamos pa'lante.
Interesting. So you didn't even know what kind of business you were going to start. You were just like, God, lead me and
lead me on.
I'm ready.
Yep.
Interesting. Do you wish you would have left sooner?
Do I wish I would have left sooner? I wish I would have just left in December, like once I knew. But I think that it refined my character in those 3 months that I was there, because I felt very much like I had to fix it. And I think that as Latinas, or just in our cultura, women are called to be fixers. And in some instances, it's not for you to fix. Just leave it be. And I think I needed to live through that in order for me to like now look at things and be like, okay, this is not for me to fix. Where do we pivot? And how can I pivot in purpose? So like that, I'm not chasing a paycheck, but I'm chasing my purpose. And so I wish I would have just listened in December, but I think that I think that there was purpose behind that January through March experience, because it was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably learned to trust yourself more.
Absolutely. And I went back to being managed by someone when I was the manager. So while that happened, while I was out, they reorged and I was no longer in my position.
The audacity.
Okay. And then they sent it to the college community like, oh, we've made exciting changes.
We've demoted Susana.
News to me, because how is that exciting? And like it also sent, I worked at a primarily white institution. And so it also sent a message to our other sisters of color and brothers of color who are on campus, like when you're down, you're really gonna be down. And those were the phone calls that I got, like, yo, like they didn't even wait until you were back. No, they didn't. Did you know that this was happening? No clue. Found out with y'all. So it really was just a very interesting time. And again, I wish I would have trusted myself more. But now it's a whole different ballgame. Mm-hmm. Because now it's just like, como que esto no va bien. Mm-hmm. Vamos a dejarlo ahí. Mm-hmm. And part ways while you still have your dignity and while I still have my grace.
Right.
We're just going to go in separate.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are preconditioned to believe what success looks like.
Yeah.
Right? So success looks like going to school, mm-hmm. getting the degree,
absolutely.
Going to make your 6 figures, mm-hmm. getting your titles, mm-hmm. Buying the house. Helping your family, yeah. Being, following the good path, you know. And so to break away from that takes a lot of unlearning mm-hmm. and also faith. Mm-hmm. Right? In yourself, because you're essentially going against the grain of how you were raised, of how the people that you love, how mm-hmm. they think, mm-hmm. and how they are going to respond to something like that. Yeah. And I think that is why so many women remain